You're listening to Good Morning Marlow on MarlowFM 97.5.
Thanks for joining us here in
No problem.
and for the new year. We're talking about New Year and New Year's resolutions, and perhaps maybe generally around the area of goal setting. Resolutions really a goal setting for the year. Is that fair? What a resolution is?
Kind of. I mean, I think it kind of should be. I think when we're talking about resolutions, we're talking about goals and stuff. It's an interest. New Year's resolutions have always been interesting to me. I think some people do them a lot, set them a lot. I think a lot of those people probably don't necessarily follow them up, and that's led to a lot of people to not like them. So you'll get a lot of stuff, I don't bother with resolutions and stuff anymore. I think if we're talking about goals, that's a shame. Setting goals is a good thing to do. That's a nice thing to do. And, if you want to achieve things, probably a very important thing to do.
And, of course, the thing that can be done at any time of the year, and it should be done at any time of the year. Whenever you've got a review of your current situation and you want to change something, then you start setting some goals, don't you?
For sure. And I think that if anyone's waiting for New Year, that's probably a mistake. There's no need to do that. I think anyone that's picking resolutions just because you're meant to, or because, Joe Bloggs does, or the newspaper column said I should, they're the ones that aren't going to last.
Yeah.
I think it's a really nice moment to start fresh. I think I think there's nothing wrong with it in the sense of, it's nice to be able to tear down a calendar, get a new diary. Maybe the goals from last year didn't quite pan out or whatever it was. It's a nice moment to recalibrate and go forward.
Yeah.
So if you're using it for that, I think that's great. And I think they can be really helpful. But I think that maybe because we think of it as, it's a New Year's resolution, so I'll just pick one out the bag. I'll be a bit healthier, be a bit positive, don't snack so much, less sugar. There's not much substance behind that. You have, that is kind of just I'll do something a bit more,
a bit different.
A bit different, a bit better for New Year. And I think that's where I would then switch it to, okay, we'll let's do goal setting with it then.
Yeah.
Goal setting, if done correctly, can be really powerful and a really big first step towards actually achieving the thing. And I think if it just stays as a resolution, I'm doing the hand gesture, the quotation marks that no one can see.
Don't worry, I can see doing it. Yeah.
Really, it works for you. If it's just a resolution, a generic one out the bag, I think it's probably common that doesn't have much in the way of legs.
And the vaguer it is, the less specific it is, that the harder it is to live up to, because it's totally not quantifiable, not measurable, isn't it? So you say, I'm going to be fitter. I mean, if that's all we're going to say, then it's not really worth it, because you haven't begun to state the steps you're going to go through to achieve that goal. Yeah,
and you haven't really made it yours.
Yeah.
You've just, we could all, I bet you, if you asked anyone, name the top 10 New Year's resolutions, I bet people get 7 or 8 of them correct, or all of them.
Because they're common across everybody.
Common across
everyone's going to say the same.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because, a lot of our goals are similar, but they'll almost know it word for word, whereas that should be different for each person. I want to be a bit healthier. I would like to, do better at my sport. I would like to lose some weight. They need to be clarified person to person. Such and such being healthier means not smoking, or, giving up sugar, or what does it mean to you? And I think that if it just stays as a resolution, probably that's one of the reasons that it doesn't go, that they have the cliche of, the gyms will be empty by February. How's the resolution going? What resolution? That one. So I think if you can have this idea of, it's New Year, there are some things I'd like to do, and you can take those resolutions and goal set with them. And it's a strategy that I once heard someone talked about it I really liked, and it was taking things from the clouds to the dirt. And they were basically saying that a lot of resolutions, a bit of ideas are kind of, you're living in the clouds. You're like, I'm going to be a bit more positive. I'm going to lose some weight and stuff. And the guy speaking said his idea was to put them in the dirt, because not a lot grows in the clouds, but loads grow in the dirt. So we've got to bring it down. And the way you do that is strategy. So it's cool. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to do this.
I like that phrase. I've not heard that one before.
But how are we going to make it dirty?
Yeah.
So we're going to bring it down. We're going to add some strategy. How are you going to actually make that grow?
Well, make it more realistic as well.
Yeah, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
So I want to be, how do we...
Less vapour.
I want to be fitter. Okay, well, what does that entail? And I think we can talk through this morning. I think that you can start with, well, what does that mean? How do we goal set it? And then, well, how do we create strategies that are going to make that work? And then how do we stay motivated and committed to doing it? And I think that's kind of a lot of resolutions are in the clouds.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to sign up to a race, or I'm going to, lose some weight. It's great. They're great. They're lovely thoughts, but they'll stay that way unless you do something with them.
Right. Now, presumably, you get to meet a lot of people in your role at APS Coaching. You get to meet a lot of people who say, right, your book's going to be full now for January. People saying, I'm going to come do my thing about getting fit. And when they meet you, you say, why have you come to see me? So, well, they say, I've got this goal to lose weight. And that's where you start speaking to them about their specific goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the first things we do is try and get to the bottom of. So one of my goal setting methods that I use a lot, and I actually have different ones depending on what kind of idea someone's giving me. So if someone's got a really lofty goal, there's certain things you can do with that. And then if someone's got more of a resolution goal, there's more of a method I would use with that. So if you take that one for a minute, I would use the more what we call the what and why method. So it's a 6-step process. And the first step is, what is it that you want, and be as specific as you can. So that's the first step, is where you take that, I'm going to be fitter, and well, what does that mean? Well, it means I want to run 5k in this time, and I want to do it by March. Okay, that's more specific. Or I want to lose this amount of weight in this amount of time, or I want to be healthier. What does that mean? Well, I want to not have back pain anymore, so I can move around and feel more energetic and stuff. Okay. The second step is, why do you want it? And be as honest as you can. Doesn't matter how vain it sounds or how whatever. But why do you? Because there's loads of magazines that will tell you why to do this, why this resolution is right for you. Who cares? Why do you want it? That's the only thing that's going to keep you doing it.
Yeah.
So I want you to be really specific with what it is that you want and why it is that you want it. That's step 1 and 2.
Well, unless you've identified those two, then you're not going to be able to keep it, because you only develop the habits that you need to sustain them.
Well, what we're really trying to drive is committing you to it. Yeah. So it's almost like I'm trying to sell it to yourself. You've had the idea, but now I want you to sell it to yourself even more. So this is really what I want. Yeah. This is why. So the next step, selling it even more, picture that you've done it. What are the benefits? Give me 5, 10 benefits. Because let's run with one of them, right? Let's say you want to lose weight. There's things you're going to have to do, right, to do that maybe you don't want to do. And if it's just to lose weight, that might not stick enough. But if it's to lose weight so that I feel more confident and I go out and do things, and maybe because I feel more confident, I'll go for that job promotion, or my blood pressure will come down, so my health is actually better, and I'll be able to keep up with the grandkids. Well, hang on. Well, now a half-hour run is really worth those things, isn't it? Like, now you've got a whole stack of things that you're going to get out of this.
And these are things you're going to get some benefit from. So we're now turning them from, if you like, goals and aspirations, we're turning them into benefits. Yeah,
so there's the thing you wanted, and there's all the pros that come with that. Because, funny enough, the next step of this process is, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to list out 5, 10 things, and I want you to list out the costs of this goal. Because make no mistake, trying to achieve anything is going to come with some costs. Yeah. Could be financial, could be time, effort, could be giving up, all your sort of lunches eating out at work. It could be giving up your, Costa and a brownie on the way home, or whatever it is. There's things you're going to have to give up.
Yeah.
Step 5 is, do the benefits outweigh the costs? I want you to look at the list, and they should, right? If not, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
If you look at it and go, that's not, what I get out of this isn't worth me giving up all those things, it's very unlikely you're going to stick with it. But if you've been, thorough with the benefits and honest about it, being healthy, being able to do a sport that you love, being able to interact with your loved ones more, these are all fantastic things. And then sacrificing, half an hour, a few times a week to do a bit of exercise, a bit of meal prep in the evening, that becomes much more worth it, because I get all these costs.
All these benefits.
All these benefits, yes,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so the step number 6 is, if we agree that the benefits outweigh the costs, you write yourself a little mission statement or a goal. So I'm going to lose such and such weight, or I'm going to eliminate my back pain. or manage my back pain by this date because of these benefits. I realise that there are these costs.
You acknowledge these costs are...
I acknowledge that they're there,
yeah.
but I agree, but I think that they're worth it because I want to be the best version of myself I can be this year. Whatever, how you make it as cheesy or as whatever as you want it to be. And then you put that
And it has to be honest as well.
And it's honest.
You'd be totally honest with yourself.
Yeah, I want to do it because it'll make me feel great about myself, and I haven't felt good about myself for a while, you know, or I want to look sexier because I'm looking to go dating. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's you. It's your life. It really doesn't matter what it is. I think you should tie in and be honest. And then I think you should explore the benefits that maybe you don't care about as much, but that might come with it. Some bonuses. Okay, well, I want to do it because I want to look good and get back in the dating pool, or I just want to be a bit healthier so I can keep up with the grandkids. But actually, I might be able to join that badminton club if my back pain goes away. And I want to do that as well, so that's another benefit. There's often lots of them there.
Right.
And then you take that, now you've gone all through that, we've made it personal to you, we've acknowledged that there are going to be some costs, we've got all these benefits, and I would stick that somewhere you can see it. So you've taken this...
That was my next question. Would you share that with somebody? Would you?
I'd create some accountability, yeah, absolutely.
If you've got nearest and dearest you can share it with?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think sometimes that works and hinders, because I think sometimes you get a load of people say, oh, you're not going to do that, and they'll, you know, rain on your parade. Whereas if you want it and you think you can do it, go for it. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. But it can also work the other way, that they say, oh, you know, I might do some of that with you, or, yeah, okay, we can help. So I think letting people know it's something you want to do is really important. Don't let them put you off, though.
Yeah.
If it's something you want and you've got all the benefits of why you want it, you go for it. But put that somewhere. That
you need to be selfish about it, don't you? If you're sticking it on the fridge door or something and your partner can see it as well, if they're going to say, oh, you'll never do that, you need to be a bit more selfish than that and a bit less generous to their thoughts and say, no, this is me. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm not even seeking your approval, but I'd rather not have your condemnation doing it. But I expect to do it, and this is me. I'm being selfish because this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to make my life better. And if my life's better, then our lives are going to be better together.
And that can be part of that benefit and cost thing. You know, you can put down some benefits to your loved ones and to other people. If you're healthier, a better version of you, there's loads of benefits to those people. Is it going to cost them a bit of time with you? Yeah, probably. But again, those benefits should outweigh it. And then if you know, I think that just ties down the commitment a lot more, and then putting it somewhere you can see it. We're all busy. We're all creatures of habit. You know, January the 1st comes in and we all go back to what we were doing December, 30th and November and all the other months of last year. So it's easy to forget things. It's easy to have this, you know, usually we've all got a bit of holiday, and so you sit there, you've got some free time, you come up with this goal, fantastic. And then we go back to reality. And so having it somewhere where you can see it and it reminds you all the time, that's a big step too. And I think the next things we can talk about is, well, you've got this goal now, it's yours, it's personal, we know why we want it.
It's translating that into action.
What are we going to do about it?
My guest this morning is Matt Lovett from APS Coaching. We're having a fascinating discussion about goals and goal setting. And just a few minutes ago, talking about goals being both telescope and microscope goals, which I think is far fascinating. Let's go through that again, because telescope and microscope goals are to do with the distance you're seeing. Is that right? Yeah,
so the idea is that I guess you can come at it from either end. If you've got a lofty goal, sort of something that's off in the distance, you know, someone will have, I want to be Olympic champion in 10 years' time. Or, well, you know, whatever it is. It doesn't mean we're talking a lot about health and fitness, but you can apply this to anything. That's telescope. That's you're seeing, like, way off into the distance.
Yeah, long distance view, yeah.
So then you can use that and you can reverse engineer it. Okay, well, if you want to be in such and such a place in 5 years, where have you got to be in 2, in 1 year, in 9 months, in 6 months, in 90 days? And then, even then, they're kind of telescopy, and we can take microscope goals. Well, what have you got to do today, tomorrow, next week, to then join up all the dots to get to the 90-day mark, to get to the 6-month mark?
So you've reversed back from the ultimate goal back to, say, a 90-day goal.
Yeah.
And then you've started again from today and working back up to the 90 days.
Yeah. So I think a really easy example of this is a marathon. Right. So there'll be certain people listening that are probably booked in to do their big London Marathon in, 4 months' time?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 months' time, we're going to run 26 you know this better than me,
26.2
miles.
Yep.
Because it says a non-marathon runner.
Says me as a failed marathon. No, I haven't always failed.
So we've got 26.2 miles to run in 4 months' time. So how many miles do we want to have covered in 3 months' time, in 2 months' time, in 1 month's time? And then, okay.
Then stop, and then start it from the other direction.
So now, what have I got to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
So you might come a little daily checklist. What have I got to do tomorrow in order to try and hit the 1 month thing? Probably number one thing is run. I'm going to do a run tomorrow. Okay, well, how far? Maybe just an easy, maybe it's just 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. But now you start to, and you can also reverse engineer that whole process, right? If you've got a very microscope-based thing, well, I just want to be fitter, but I want to do it now. Okay, well, that's not going to happen. So make it telescopy, like put a date on it. Where would you push it away a bit? Okay, I want to lose so much weight and I want to do it in this time. And then you can start the whole process again. But sometimes you might start with that, the what and why we spoke about previously. If it's more a resolution kind of, I have a rough idea, you might start there. Be specific about what you want. Be specific about the date. Now you have that. Now we can back work it into the telescope, microscope goal side of things. And this really comes down to now strategy. Well, that's what we want. Then we're going to sub-goal. So we want it a year's time, 9 months, 6 months sub-goals, 3 months sub-goals. And then the real strategy is, okay, well, what do I have to do daily and weekly to hit those things?
And I think most people who have got a strategy to do something as specific as doing, say, the London Marathon, they probably have got such a strategy in their mind, because if they haven't, all of a sudden they're going to find themselves the day of the marathon and think, I suppose I better start running, hadn't I? So unless they've built some intermediate steps along the road to the marathon start line, then they're very unlikely to succeed in what they want to do. And they've had to face or acknowledge the costs of doing that as part of that process as well.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes with, maybe more, maybe goals that aren't as defined, or a bit more all-encompassing. So if you want to be healthier or lose weight and stuff, we can be specific with that, but there's a lot of things that go into that. And there is that with running as well. It's not just running. You've got to look after yourself and eat right and stuff like that, but it's a little bit more straightforward maybe. I think sometimes with those goals, with the get fit, lose weight and stuff, we miss all the little intricacies of it. So maybe part of the daily thing, the first day is maybe you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe the first step is get help. Might be getting a coach, it might be reading a book, it might be asking a friend, joining a club. That might be the first step. There's a really cool story I like from the world of baseball, where it was every season for a college coach with the new recruits, day one was teaching them how to tie their shoelaces properly.
Right.
And the reasoning was that they would get less blisters and they would be able to perform better and stuff. So he started, that's one of the most ultimate breaking things down I've ever heard. So step one was teach them how to do that. And then we move on and move on. And move. So I would not be afraid to break it down. As much we know, say we want to be healthier. We know we've got to do a bit of exercise. And maybe we've got to look at our sleep. Maybe we've got to look at what we eat. But we can break that way down. Maybe it's, well, I need to find out what kind of things I need to eat. Okay, well, they also need to be tasty, because otherwise I'm not going to bother. Okay, so you need to find out what kind of things you need to eat and how we're going to cook them. Mm. Maybe I need to buy some cooking utensils. All these little things that can go on your list, and also you get to tick them off. Yeah, that's great. Right, find recipe, tick. Buy pot, tick.
Yeah,
and you keep going. Then with the exercise, maybe you need some gym shoes. Maybe you need a gym membership. Maybe you need a running club member. Whatever it is, but we've got to find strategies. We've already come a long way from, I want to be healthier.
Yeah. Actually, the thing about ticking off a list is quite fascinating, because I find that people love to tick lists off. It's got a list of 20 things. They start working down it. Even your day-to-day to-do list. As you tick things off, you think this day's going to be a good day if I get to the end of it and I've done all those 20 things. So you can magnify that, take your telescope view of that, and those are like the 20 steps to achieving your goals, and you're ticking off in the same way.
Yeah, it's part of
Yeah, Phil, how good you feel when you've done all your to-dos on a day. If you write down, like I do, a to-do list every day, how good you feel when you got to the bottom of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a huge part of it. When I'm coaching with people and stuff, and we're looking at goals and how we get there, and like the mental side of things, one of the things we talk about a lot is process over outcome. So if you focus on the outcome of something too much, so you've got your goal, I want to lose weight, I want to be healthier, I want to run my 5K or my marathon in this time. Focusing on that, one, there's a lot of pressure. You just think, oh, I've got this marathon coming up. Oh, I've got the marathon coming up. Oh, yeah, the marathon's coming up. And also, it doesn't really answer. There's no what to do. There's no strategy involved in that. And also, they can be a long way off, right? So if you're only focused on running a marathon at a certain time, you've got quite a slog between now and then. So if you're not celebrating anything in the meantime, that's quite a long, cumbersome, difficult journey.
Get some nice intermediate victories on the way.
So if you focus on the process, today I've got to do this. I ticked it off, brilliant. All I've got to do tomorrow is, and you don't get overwhelmed, right? All I've got to do tomorrow is a 20-minute easy run. Great, ticked, done. Next week, I've got to build it up. Okay, we're going 30 minutes. Okay, now we're into the mile stage of things, etc., etc., etc. And you put all those little steps together and you're there. And you have all those wins along the way. So we've got to get really into the process, you know. Enjoy logging your workouts, enjoy finding new recipes, enjoy, you know, the benefits of getting a good night's sleep, other than just getting towards that lofty end goal.
Yeah, and I think that's very important, because if you don't enjoy the process, then it's much more likely you're not going to sustain the process to the very end. You might decide to change the end goal because you're not enjoying the process of getting there, because you're not doing it in the correct way.
Yeah, I think this comes down to most goals are going to need consistency.
And habit forming.
Right. When are you going to be able to achieve something without doing it consistently? So if you look at the process we've done so far, we took our resolution and we made it a better goal. And there's a bit more commitment and stuff to that anyway. So that's great. And hopefully by looking at all those benefits and stuff, that's going to motivate us a little bit more, because we're a bit more tied into it. Then we looked at strategies of how we're going to get there. And also we maybe told some people and put this up on our fridge or wherever it is. Yep. So we're going to see it a little bit more. And that, hopefully, we've started down the road of, you know, feeling a bit motivated, look at all these benefits, and we've got some commitment because, you know.
And we touched on accountability as well. So put it on the fridge so your partner sees it, or even tell your friends, and you get just a bit of accountability that helps you towards that.
Yeah. So, and we've got our strategy, we know what we need to do now. Great. Sometimes, and the first day, probably going to feel like doing this. Great. Going to attack it. And then life happens, and maybe, we start to become unmotivated. There's the famous quote, isn't there, that motivation is like bathing. We recommend it daily. I think the problem is people think that motivation lasts, that I've got this goal. You know, some people, even with the loftiest goals that mean the world to them, they still don't wake up every day feeling like doing it.
Right.
And I think it's important for most people to hear, like, if you wake up and you think, I really can't be bothered to go on that run today, that's legitimately normal. That happens to everyone.
Yeah.
I've been, working out and exercising, and I love sport for my entire life. And I still have days I'm like, I don't want to do this. I can't be bothered. So what do? How do we deal with those things? Well, with motivation, we can look for daily doses of motivation. Make a positive playlist. Hit play when you wake up in the morning. Let those positive songs that get you a bit amped up play. Be around like-minded people. So if you're part of a club, turn up at that club. Maybe you don't really feel like it today. I'm not really sure I want to play tennis today. But you see your friend and they want to play and they're motivated, and it rubs off on you. That's why these things work, like food groups and all these things. Not only is it accountability, but you're sharing it. You're socialising and stuff. It could be having more things visible. So create a vision board, put all those benefits, put them into, rather than just words on a fridge, put them into pictures, and maybe put that as a board together with some motivating phrases and stuff, and put it on your phone as the lock screen, so you see it all the time. So that's our little doses of motivation. Have go-to songs, go-to people, and be able to see it all the time. Maybe see pictures of people doing the thing that you want to do, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Commitment is really important, because there are days, no matter how much of that you do, you're still not going to feel like it, right? The motivation is not working.
No matter how much of a habit it's become, no matter how much of a consistent part of your life it is grown into, there's still going to be days when, as we were talking about off air earlier on, when the chocolate biscuit moment just comes and presents itself.
Right, and I think there's two aspects of that. One, creating commitment. People that achieve really, lofty things or achieve goals all the time are very good at doing things even when they don't feel like it. Right, so we need to develop that habit. You need to realise that you can take action even without motivation. And we were speaking off air that I think actually sometimes people get it wrong, that they think they'll take action once they're motivated. I'll get motivated and then I'll do the next thing. Well, actually, I think sometimes it works the other way around. I think action will make you motivated. Often, I don't feel like exercising. Putting the kit on is the hardest bit. But once I put the kit on, put that first song on, do that first exercise, I think this is cool. I'm glad I'm here now. And most people have had that, where you go and you think, I wasn't going to come, but I'm glad I'm here now. So sometimes just having that first step, have it planned out. And we talked about this. This is part of your strategy. This is why to-do lists, daily checklists, weekly checklists are important. You have that checklist. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. And you wake up and just attack it, regardless.
A walk of 500 miles begins with a single step. If you don't do that first step, you'll never do the rest of the 500 miles.
And I think that with to-do lists, when I have them, I always try and get people to, how much is on your to-do list? Pick 1 or 2 MITs, most important tasks.
Right.
Put them at the top, wake up, hit them. Just don't, and be in a position that, that's why ending your day is kind of important, because you want to end your day so you know what you're doing. You don't want to wake up and, fart around, what have I got to do? Where's that thing? Have it laid out, it's like having your gym kit laid out, right? If you're going to go on an early morning run, have your kit laid out and have your trainers by the door. Yeah. All you got to do is get up, make it as easy as possible. And by committing to it the day before, hopefully we just get up and done. And by the time we've taken those first 10 steps, we feel more motivated.
And the preparation the day before also becomes part of your daily habits as well.
Yeah, so I think that the more you can make these checklists and stuff, then the more things become habit.
Yeah.
And habits are things that we tend to do without thinking about it. And the more we can make it that, the more that'll get us through the days when we don't particularly feel like it, because it's just habitual. I'm running now. Yeah. I didn't really think about it. I just wake up and I run. It's ingrained. Yeah,
that works even if you're trying to replace some bad habits with these new habits. So if you do have too many chocky bickers or too much sugar and fat-laden food, if you have too much stuff and that's your habit, you are replacing it with a new habit, to a new way of life, a new mindset. I mean, mindset is really what we're talking about here as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other aspect that we should mention with commitment, when you're talking about the chocolate biscuit and stuff, is give yourself breaks.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Whenever you start a goal, really, this is really, really key. Whenever you set out to achieve anything, and the more lofty it is, the more of this you're going to encounter. You are going to encounter adversity. Mark my words. It's coming. It will not be smooth sailing. You will, as soon as you want to lose weight, you'll get dinner invites round someone's house. You'll be given a box of chocolate. All these things are going to happen. You're training for the marathon. You're going to tweak your ankle. You're going to get ill and lose a week of training. I promise you, It's going to happen.
Oh, I know, I've been there. you know I've been there.
And if you don't expect it, it's going to be worse. So give yourself breaks and also work out how you're going to refocus. Okay, I had the chocolate biscuit. It doesn't, as you've said, it doesn't have to hinder anything.
Yeah.
We all have a biscuit here, biscuit there, go out for dinner. As long as you've got those habits, you are a sum total of your average of what you consistently do.
Well, that's a great line. So you're
a sum total of your average. So I say this to everyone. At the end of the year, you'll be what you did averagely. So it doesn't matter whether you fell off the wagon for 2 weeks, did a juice diet for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. It's on average, what did you do?
Yeah.
Because that's, in the end, what where your health and fitness will lie. So
that's a lovely line. You are the sum total of your average of what you've done for the previous year.
And that's why consistency is king. If you can consistently eat well, work out, do whatever it is you need to do, then the other things, the little hiccups, even if they are hiccups, just participating in life stuff, won't matter. But if that's your average, if, going out for big lunches and, eating things we don't need to do and not exercising at all and not moving, if that's your average, then we can guess what the results are going to be.
Yeah.
So I think allowing yourself a break and also coming up with a plan what are you going to do when you fall off the wagon? What are you going to do if you get in? Because it's going to happen. So a bit of prep work for it and not beating yourself up and having to start again and stuff, that's really key too. It's okay.
So you can build that into your plan. So if I do get an invite to go out for a few drinks with my mates, I'm going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to be a miserable person and stay at home, and I am actually going to go and do that. But I won't do that every day. I'm not going to do that for the next few days. But for the one day, I will. Yeah,
and I'm going to make sure that I got everything I needed to do that day. I got my run in. We've really kind of gone down the marathon route, but I'm going to get my run in, and I'm going to have eaten a really good breakfast and lunch before I go out on my boozy friends dinner.
Yeah,
you don't have to, just because one tire's maybe gone flat, we don't have to shoot them all out. Right. So
I love the little I love the images you create in my mind. I'm sure you create in the minds of your clients as well. My guest for the remainder of this hour is Matt Lovett, and we are talking goal setting, commitment, consistency, habit forming, etc., etc. Matt, we were talking about that specifically, and you came up with a fantastic line about about having a tyre shot out, and then do not go ahead and shoot out the other tyres. Go into that in a bit more detail.
Yeah, so it was something I heard once. It was someone talking along the lines of whenever they had a setback, so say you have a flat tyre, it just made them want to kind of shoot out the other ones. So they just looked for any excuse to have like a terrible day for the rest of the day. And I quite related to that, to be honest. When I was younger, that would definitely happen. I would, get a flat tyre and you'd just be a sourpuss about it the entire rest of the day. You might as well make the day as bad as can be. Whereas in reality, all you need to do is change the tyre and, make a few adjustments and get on with it. And I think you can look at sport, that happens. Be it football, someone will go a goal down, 2 goals, 3 goals down. In tennis, especially, you can go 2 sets down. Now that to win that game, you've got to play 3 more sets. You've got to play more tennis than you've already played. It'd be very easy, and you see it in players, they'll shoot the tyres out. They'll look for, the person in the crowd's making too much noise. The umpire's against me, this racket's wrong. And they're inevitably going to lose the third and final set. Whereas if you just patch the tyre, flush that, it happened, it's gone.
Yeah.
Now what are we going to do? How are we going to refocus? What are the things? And this is coming back to process over outcome. Forget the result of the day then. What have we got to do the next 5 minutes to get the day back on track as much as possible? What have we got to do in the next 5 minutes to get the game of football, the game of tennis back in our favour a little bit?
Because the likelihood is that the habits, the consistency isn't that far beneath the surface. So if you're able to scrape back into where you should have been and can get back to in 5 minutes, then the rest of the day will start to follow the plan that you want it to, because that habit is still there.
Yeah, and this comes down to, as you were talking about off air, about mindset. And, there's lots of work done on types of mindset, and you can look at mindset in terms of 2 ways. Some people have fixed mindset and growth mindset. And growth mindset people, you're looking at how do I learn, how do I grow? I can grow and develop. And you want that when you're going after any goal. And that means that when you get adversity, when you get the tyre blowout, well, how do I learn from that then? Oh, okay, well, I've now learned, how to fix a tyre. Or I've learned that, don't drive down that street anymore. There's broken glass, whatever it is. There's always something you can learn out of it. Or you can just learn, how do I refocus? How do I not blow out the other tyres? What breathing do I need to do? What things do I need to think about to get my day back on track? And growth-minded people like adversity because it teaches us stuff.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey. The more adversity I hit, the more I learn how to navigate it, the stronger person I become. The more I try to lose weight or run a marathon, if I encounter adversity and I get round it, I've now got much more of a knowledge base about this subject. I'm much more likely to do this in the future. So adversity is great. It's part of the story.
That's a good way to end it, actually. Adversity is part of the story. It makes the story more interesting.
It absolutely does.
Matt, thanks very much for being my guest this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us how people can get in touch with you if they want to find out more of your words of wisdom or come and see you at APS Coaching. How can they do that? Yeah, so it's best to just visit apscoaching.co.uk and follow on from there. apscoaching.co.uk. Once again, Matt, thanks very much.
You're listening to Good Morning Marlow on Marlow FM 97.5.